Hey Dirt Magicians, in this video we're going to show you 5 different seed starting setups from regular backyard vegetable gardeners of all levels of experience. Hopefully this will give you inspiration about your own setup based on your own time, space, and finances. So let's go walk around the neighborhood and peek into these homes. All right, our first stop is surprise, Dee's. So she started seeds indoors for the first time last year and had so much fun doing it with her daughter Aria. So let's go take a look inside and see what she's got going on. So Dee's setup is a self-contained Sunblaster kit. So it came with the frame that's here, as well as an installation of 2 Sunblaster lights and this tray here at the bottom. You might have noticed this very nice white pieces, and that's because Aria, Dee's daughter, wanted to put paper curtains on it last year for the seedlings to tuck them in at night. Clearly there's an Aria influence here. The location of Dee's setup is in a little nook in the corner of her living room to make sure that Aria has easy access to care for the plants when she wants to. The lights that Dee has came with this kit, and they're the 2 long Sunblasters. Now you're gonna see Sunblasters throughout this video, and that's because I used to work for an agricultural tech company and I was responsible for seedling care, and my team did a ton of different experiments using different grow lights, and we found that Sunblasters gave the most uniform, healthiest growth. So that's what I recommended to Growville, and many of them purchased it as a result. If you're interested in new lights, we've linked both the lamp and the long lights in the description box below. The containers that she's using for her seedlings are seed cells and cocoa coir pots. And what's really interesting about the cocoa coir pots is that she can just rip this when it's ready to transplant, as opposed to trying to get the soil out to be able to transplant. The soil mix that she's using for these seedlings is the Pro Mix seed starting mix mixed with compost, and so she usually does about 2/3 of the seed starting mix to 1/3 compost to allow additional nutrients. The plant labels that she's using also come from the dollar store. They're just regular plastic ones, and she's writing on them with Sharpie. Plants that she's growing are tomatoes, mizuna, spinach, peas, and a few leafy greens in the back. There are 3 unique features to this seed starting setup. The first one is that Dee has a heat mat for her plants in the Solanaceae family. If you don't know what the Solanaceae family is, then we have a free resource for you in the description box which describes all of the different vegetable families and which plants are part of them, as their considerations for each family are all the same. So Solanaceae family includes tomatoes, and these are heat-loving vegetables. So adding a heat mat speeds up the germination process and makes for happier seedlings. But we wouldn't want to put our leafy greens or peas on a heat mat, as these are actually more cold-tolerant plants and they don't like that much heat, so it could slow down their germination. The second unique feature to the seed starting setup is that she actually uses a turkey baster for watering, and this kind of keeps it way less messy. It also means that she can get around the plants, and it's also very gentle, so she's not going to disturb any new seeds. And then the third unique feature of the seed starting setup is that I have to lie on the ground to be at eye level about it to talk to you about it. All right, that's it for Dee's setup. Let's head on over to our next seed starting setup at Burn and Ashton's. All right, Dirt Magicians, we're at our next stop here at Burn and Ashton's. They've been growing food with me from our Growville pilot for the last 3 years. This will be their 2nd year of starting seeds, and they've really leveled up. I'm so excited for you to see it, so let's go take a look. Except for it's not this way. It's actually in their backyard, and they have a full-blown greenhouse. Now this is a way to start seeds. Not only are they starting seeds inside this greenhouse, but they've also overwintered some pots, and then they have a fan and a heater as well. And this greenhouse is located in their backyard, and Burn let me know that they're only getting about 4 hours of full sun a day, which is not a ton. So they even included a few grow lights to help speed up germination and to reduce legginess. Now these grow lights are the Sunblaster variety, and they've bought the pulley system that comes with them so they can raise and lower them as the plants grow. In terms of the types of containers he's using, he's predominantly got nursery plastic pots of a couple of different sizes, and then these Jiffy peat pellets. In terms of soil, he is using just Miracle-Gro potting mix for all of these, and then the plant labels are broken down popsicle sticks with a Sharpie written on them. In terms of what he's got growing here, he's got over 30 varieties of vegetables and flowers, so let's just look at a few of them. Radish, artichokes, onions, broccoli, chilies. So there are a few important considerations when using a greenhouse that a lot of them are already being implemented here.
Firstly is the use of a fan. That keeps good airflow in here when everything's closed up to help prevent disease. The fact that they have a heater is also really important because this doesn't really insulate very well in the nighttime, and because those temperatures are dropping a fair bit, especially for things like tomatoes and stuff, it's really good to be able to keep it warm throughout the night. And the last consideration is because we're in mid-March and it is starting to warm up, by mid-April, they're gonna wanna open up this greenhouse because it can get really hot in here when the sun is bearing down on it. All right, so that's it for this beautiful setup. What I love most about it is just the variety of stuff that's being grown in here, from the flowers to the veggies to even they're starting an avocado and a mango to see if that will germinate and take. Now let's head over to Ingrid's and see what she's up to. All right, so now we're at Ingrid's place. Ingrid has been growing food since 1993, so she's been growing food for over 30 years, including both her children and now her grandchildren in the process. But she never actually started seeds indoors until she'd done the Dirt Magicians pilot with me, and this now will be her 3rd year doing it. So let's go inside and take a look.
Oh, hi.
Hello.
Come on in.
Thank you. All right, so her indoor seed starting setup is on all of the kitchen counters here. And what's really unique and beautiful to this setup is that she's actually started everything from seed that she saved last year. And a bunch of it's already germinating, so we know that that seed is viable, which is very exciting. So the location here for Ingrid's seed starting is in her kitchen, and I wish you could smell through camera because it smells amazing in here. She's baking pumpkin scones from pumpkins that she grew last year, and oh my gosh, I'm feeling very hungry right now. So the way that she does the seed starting is the counters are where she starts everything, where it's nice and warm and cozy and smells amazing. I feel like the seeds are gonna taste better. And once they're germinated, she's actually gonna move all of these outside into her shed where she's got a grow light and a heat mat. All right, now let's talk about how she's lighting up her seed starting situation. So on each counter, she's got some kind of an LED light. And she made sure that the LED light was emitting in the photosynthetically active wavelengths. So you need to make sure you're doing that if you are using LEDs in any capacity. So for the kitchen counter that I'm leaning against right now, she has an inbuilt one that goes underneath this counter specifically. And then over across the kitchen where the window is, she's got an LED bulb up into a light. And she is getting a bit of light from that window, but it is north facing and then there is a balcony, so it's pretty diffuse coming through. Now, neither of these lights are really fantastic to prevent legginess, which is why once germinations occurred, she's moving everything outside to those grow lights out there. In terms of the containers she's using, she has here 3.5-inch nursery pots. She's got peat pots, just germinating in a tray fully, egg cartons, and then more smaller peat pots. Soil that she's used for these is the Pro Mix Planting Potter Mix, and she's actually just sifted it to make it a lot finer, which is so much better for seed starting. And the plant labels she has come from the dollar store. They're just regular plastic plant labels. And she has a lot of different things growing in here. We've got spinach, wildflowers, sunflowers, lettuce, although this was a viability test, clearly it's viable, blackberry, chamomile, sweet peas, sugar peas, and tomatoes. In terms of unique considerations, because she just used a regular potting mix and she didn't add any compost or slow release fertilizer, once the true leaves have developed for these seedlings, they're going to need more nutrients. So she has a fish fertilizer that's liquid. So she'll put that into her watering container, which is also very cool, which is just a regular pot bottle with a pressurized spray that she bought at Lee Valley, which is a garden store here in Canada. Also, Dirt Magicians, if this video is valuable to you and you enjoy seeing how other gardeners do things, make sure to click that like button so we know to make more content like this. All right, let's get out of here and go to our next stop at Diane's. Okay, Dirt Magicians, we are at our 4th stop here at Diane's. Diane has been growing food for the last 7 years and she started indoor seeding 3 years ago. So let's take a look inside and see what she's got going on.
Psych!
You might remember this place because it's mine. I'm actually babysitting Diane's seed starting setup while she's away on vacation because that's what community is all about. If you're interested in having your own garden community, subscribe to stay up to date on notifications in our community tab about garden circles and other ways to connect with each other. So Diane's setup is a nice compact size. It's just one tray, one light, and a humidity dome which helps prop up the light. Let's break down the components of this setup. So firstly, the location is here on some shelving right in front of my patio window, which is west facing. It's quite light. In addition to the light from my window, she's got one long Sunblaster that sits on top of the humidity dome here. In terms of containers, she's using 6 packs of seed cells and 1.5-inch nursery pots. For plant labels, she's also using popsicle sticks as well, with a fine-tooth Sharpie is how she's made her labels. In terms of what she's got growing, she's got a ton of tomatoes, as well as mustard greens, spinach, snap peas, arugula, and a bunch of different kinds of lettuce. And then in terms of considerations for this setup, the biggest one is around the heat dome. So I like to remove it every night just to make sure that these plants are getting proper airflow to prevent diseases. I also find because this window gets quite sunny in the mid-afternoon, if I leave this on, it gets really, really hot. I accidentally almost cooked her plants. Shh, don't tell her. So I need to remove it then as well. So that's it for Diane's setup. So let's move on to our final one. My setup. So as you can see, my setup is very DIY and it's also in the same window frame as Diane's. And the shelving actually comes from a greenhouse and it's the same greenhouse that Ashton has too. The way in which my plants are getting light is just purely from the window, which is why they're a lot leggier than Diane's. Fortunately, because I'm just growing flowers and leafy greens at the moment, they can handle the legginess when I transplant them out. All of my containers are recycled food containers that I was saving up to do seed starting in. A few examples include salad containers, tuna cans, toilet paper rolls, yogurt containers, and my soy milk jugs. The soil that I used for these is a Pro Mix seed starting mix, and I do 2/3 of that with 1/3 of a compost with a minimum of 2% nitrogen to make sure my seedlings are getting enough nutrients. In terms of labels, I actually cut up the remainder of my soy milk jug into strips, and then I wrote on that. And in terms of the plants that I have growing here, I've got calendula, nasturtiums, Swiss chard, lettuce, pak choi, mizuna, which is my favorite salad green, and spinach. Also, you may have noticed how DIY my setup is, and that was on purpose. I actually challenged myself to spend the least amount of money possible starting seeds indoors. So we actually made a whole video all about that if you're interested on starting seeds indoors on a budget, or if it's your first time and you don't want to spend the money. So be sure to check that out, and we'll see you next time.